Tēnā koutou te whara o Auckland Unitarians. Tēnā koutou nā manahiri, no mai, haere mai ki tēnei whare karakia a te atua. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Welcome. Welcome to all who have chosen to gather together in this space, made sacred by Auckland Unitarians for 116 years. To this house we come bringing our boldest dreams, seeking here the inspiration and strength to make them be. To this house we come hoping to bury broken dreams, to be sustained through their pain and to discover new ones amidst their tears. We come here lonely, isolated from meaningful human contact, searching for warmth and closeness and care. Needing to grow beyond plateaus of the commonplace, we seek here challenges and commitments productive of greater wholeness and deeper meanings. We come intense and constructed, hoping for encouragement to shed our pretense and to be ourselves. Filled with despair and self-doubt, we seek affirmations, prodding us to say yes to ourselves and to life. Somehow, always putting happiness ahead of ourselves. We enter this place trusting that what happens here will enable us to make and to accept a little bit of it now, today. Strange place, this house. Here we cry, sing, laugh, hurt, dance, touch, survive, celebrate, grow, search, doubt, hope, rejoice, pray, trust, care, learn, think, wonder, be, become. Yes, this morning to this house we come. We especially welcome you today if you're here for the first time. We hope you find the experience enriching. Just so you know, let me explain that the service doesn't end, not really, until after you've shared a cuppa with us at morning tea. It's our sacrament of hospitality, and it won't be complete without you. From the dawn of human history, humanity has been seeking the answer to life's most pressing question. What is it all about? There have been variations of this question. Does life have a purpose? Is there meaning in life? There appears to be an answer that has dubious origins. Some say the answer came from the Shakers and the celibate religious communes in New England in the late 19th century. Others say it was discovered after a brutal battle in the midst of the Second World War in England to cheer the troops. And still others say the answer refers to the ice cream street vendors selling ice cream in wax paper before the invention of ice cream cones. Others suggest the answer to this pressing question is in doing the Hokey Tokey. Little flame, light the tender kindling of our souls, and soon a roaring blaze shall be of warmth and love and community. From this little spark, may a fire of passion spread from heart to heart and light our way, sweet Spirit, and light our way. One of the challenges I face in selecting sermon topics is to try to find something new where I can venture into uncharted territory. So far, it has been to no avail. The teacher in Ecclesiastes was right when he said, "There is nothing new under the sun." But ever hopeful, I tried again this week. I bet no one has ever tried to find a sermon in the Hokey Pokey, or the Hokey Tokey as it's called in New Zealand. I guess the name was already taken for an ice cream. But a quick search of the interwebs revealed that any number of preachers from various faiths had given it a go. Back in 2000, 4 Unitarian ministers in a meditation prayer group reflected on a cartoon where a pilgrim had climbed a mountain to consult the guru living there. The pilgrim asked, "What's it all about?" The master replies, "You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about." The ministers then challenged each other to find a sermon in the hokey pokey and preach it on the same Sunday. I decided it sounded like fun to try, and besides, I found no sermons on the hokey tokey. So even if the words are the same except for one letter, it is kind of new ground, right? I confess, I have to begin with borrowing a story from one of those 4 sermons. It's about the alleged composer of the Hokey Pokey, alleged because there are various claims to authorship. His name was Larry Laprise, a native of Detroit. His songwriting career pretty much ended with the composition of the Hokey Pokey in the late 1940s. But he made a modest fortune out of it and spent the rest of his life as a postal service employee. The song was eventually picked up by band leader Ray Anthony, who recorded it in 1953 on the B-side of another novelty song dance, the Bunny Hop. My parents had that 45. In no time, the Hokey Pokey was everywhere. Schoolyards, bar mitzvahs, weddings, you name it. Today, children around the world know and sing it by other names like Hokey Cokey, Hokey Tokey, Boogie Boogie, and Hoochie Coochie. By whatever name, the actions are the same. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in, shake it all about. You do the hokey tokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. The song continues with the left hand, right leg, left leg, your head, your bottom, and eventually your whole body yourself. The word hokey means stupidly simple. Well, the song and the dance are stupidly simple and easy to learn, except for those of us with 2 left feet. The story goes that when he died in Boise, Idaho at the age of 83, Larry Laprise's funeral lasted a long time. The Hokey Pokey was played in the background. The undertakers tried to get his body in the coffin. They put his left leg in and the right leg would pop out. They put his right leg in and the left leg would pop out. They put his whole body in and he'd soon be sitting up and shaking and turning around. But that's what it's all about. As they wheeled his coffin out to the hearse, which was parked on a hill, the undertakers lost their grip and the coffin headed down the street, whizzed by traffic, going through red lights, and eventually flying in the open door of a local pharmacy and coming to a crashing halt in front of the counter. The coffin cover fell off and the body sat up straight in its beer. The pharmacist leaned over the counter and asked, "Can I help you?" And Laprise replied, "Yeah, have you got something that will stop this coffin?" After that, you're probably beginning to wonder if that is really what it's all about. After all, we are Unitarians. We are a serious lot, not given to silliness and frivolity, and we certainly don't dance in church. Where are you going with this, preacher? Time's a-wasting. Okay, I'll try to reclaim my usual decorous self and take the question as to what it is all about more seriously. For we all know life is serious business. Trying to figure what it's all about goes back at least to the first humans who created gods. Greek mythology saw the gods using us as pawns in their divine chess game. We were moved about the chessboard at their whim and whimsy. To quote Duke Gloucester in King Lear, as flies to wanton boys, we are to the gods. They kill us for their sport. The Hebrew author of Job took issue with this view in his satirical novella. You can't get much more serious than Job. In his story, God and Satan are having a conversation. God is bragging about his faithful servant Job. Satan responds with, but of course he's faithful. Look at all you've given him. A fine home, healthy and strong children, riches and comforts beyond compare. Take all this away from him, and Job will curse God and the day he was born. God accepts the challenge, and within days, Satan has all of Job's good fortune wiped out. What's it all about? Job cries out. His friends tell him it is because of some grievous sin he's committed. For his friends, life is about seeking the good side of God, of pleasing God. And those who please God will be rewarded with a comfortable and good life. Therefore, his friends insist Job must repent of his sin and get right with God. But Job knows of no sin in his life or in the life of his family who have been taken from him. His friends, however, argue that his life is out of control and his sin is that he piously thought it was his to decide its course. Job does not accept that answer either. The premise is that God is wise and the creator of all things. His friends construct this syllogism. Suffering comes from God. God is just. Therefore, Job is guilty. Job responds with this syllogism. Suffering comes from God. I am innocent. Therefore, God is unjust. According to Stephen Mitchell, a translator of the book of Job, a third syllogism is not even imaginable. Suffering comes from God. God is just. Job is innocent. No, therefore. So according to this, what it's all about is humanity humbly accepting the fate that God has bestowed. Even in the final syllogism that Mitchell suggests, God is still the author and director of life. God is still in charge, and his ways are just and good. There is yet another syllogism that even Mitchell does not consider. Suffering does not come from a God or Satan, so neither is just or unjust. Job is an innocent bystander in the series of events that he had no control over. His attempts to make sense of these seemingly unrelated events is a futile exercise. But that doesn't keep us from trying, does it? We all try to understand why a sequence of events has occurred, that there must be some fate, some master plan that we're unable to see in the present moment. It is certainly the bread and butter of religions, played on our desire to know what it is all about. A variety of narratives are offered. One is that there is a cosmic battle taking place between good and evil. Everything from tsunamis to terrorist attacks to Trump are the weapons of choice to punish the sinful or push the chosen from grace. We certainly see it in the current polarized political environment. Choose your party carefully, lest you become part of the forces of evil and are destined to be cast into the fires of hell. What if all this seriousness is not what it's all about? What if there is no God who is waging a cosmic battle with the forces of evil? What if there is no hidden plan for our lives that we must strive to uncover? What then? Does that mean there's no answer to the question, what is it all about? Perhaps. But then I consider our lives. I consider those who have lived their lives as if it had purpose, as if they had a reason to be here in this time and place. Choosing from a multitude of examples, I offer up Rick Maston. Rick was a poet, songwriter, philosopher, and also a Unitarian minister. There's much to learn from Rick. After being told he had 6 months left to live, he spent the next 10 years dying with prostate cancer. Rick felt that we each have 3 birthdays. The first happens when we're born. The second happens when we discover we're going to die and are granted a sense of self and a sense of time as a result. The third happens every time we choose to truly live. He was committed to the idea that living life fully to our dying breath was what it was all about. He expressed that in one of this congregation's favorite songs, "Let It Be a Dance," which is today's closing song. There's a story behind that song. Rick said he wrote this for Barbara Brussel, a friend of one of his daughters. Barbara was a high school dance student who was seriously injured in a car accident involving a drunk driver that killed her teacher and 2 of her classmates. Her knee was so badly damaged that it was doubtful that she would ever walk again, let alone dance. He visited her in the hospital and bet her that within a year she would come dancing up the road to his home to a song that he would write. The song he wrote within a few days was "Let It Be a Dance." A year later she came dancing, limping, but dancing up the road as he played his guitar and sang, "Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance." That's what it's all about. As his death finally approached, Rick wrote his poem, "End Lines." I've always been a yin-yang, front-back, clear blur, up-down, life-death kind of guy. My own particular duality being philosopher/hypochondriac. Win-win with characteristics when you've been diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. Finally, the hypochondriac has more than windmills to tilt with. The philosopher, arming himself with exactly the proper petard, an explosive statement found in an email message beneath the signature of a cancer survivor's name, a perfect inline, wily and wise. Quote, "I ask God, how much time do I have before I die? Enough to make a difference." Rick certainly made a difference in this world. He made the world a better place for those who knew him, and through his music still does for those of us who didn't. The only way he could have done this was jumping his whole self into life. In doing so, Rick invited us to jump with our whole selves into life. Enjoy the heart and marrow of it. All that comes our way, good, bad, or indifferent. It's there for the tasting, and it can spur the development of love and compassion in all our days. Even the struggles we face in our lives require nothing less than our whole selves. This is living with integrity. When we do, we are deciding we will not just passively accept our destiny as dictated by someone else's rules, but rather engage our destiny with our whole lives. We're declaring that our life matters and will make a positive difference to others in the living of theirs. Begin slowly, if you must, with just a hand or a foot. But at some point, we must jump in with our whole selves in order to reap the benefits of living a full and abundant life. All that silliness of the hokey tokey may really be what it's all about. So be it. Now, usually for our meditation, I suggest we sit and get comfortable. But this time I'd like you to form a circle. You may have to push some chairs. But as you have probably guessed, it's time to do the hokey tokey.
You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn around. That's what it's all about.
You put your left hand in, your left hand out, your left hand in and shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and turn around, and that's what it's all about.
Whoa, the hokey pokey. Whoa, the hokey pokey. Whoa, the hokey pokey. And that's what it's all about. Whoa, the hokey pokey. Whoa, the hokey pokey. Whoa, the hokey pokey. And that's what it's all about. Whoa, the hokey pokey. Whoa, the hokey pokey. Whoa, the hokey pokey. And that's what it's all about.
Well done. I'm very impressed. My closing words are by Joseph Cleveland. May we hear the melody of life and find ourselves singing harmony. May we be open to the dissonances in the song of the land and its people, that we might be part of the world's urging towards justice, peace, and love. May we feel in our bones the rhythms of life and the land and find ourselves dancing.